What was the scariest city you've ever been to? Rizhao, China. Not scary so much like the others. China is insanely safe but extremely creepy. I felt like I was on a movie set. First off, it's a city of 500,000 but it's built for a population of 10 million. But it's not like those ghost cities out west where there never was anyone. It seemed like it was actually a big city, but everyone just left suddenly. The beaches were well maintained and empty. The buses ran frequently and were empty. The streets were lined with all the usual Chinese stuff and were empty. We went into a breakfast restaurant, and the food was great, but we were the only custom and the staff seemed surprised to see us. We asked for directions to the famous fish market. No one there could tell us where it was. It turned out to be about 750 meters away. It was massive and filled with vendors selling huge quantities of incredibly fresh fish. It was mostly empty. Also, almost everything was open until the wee hours of the morning, if not 24 hours. This is unusual even in the biggest Chinese cities, let alone this abandoned town. It was just an unsettling experience all around. Been there, felt that. Even crazier was that there were pockets of normalcy scattered across. Tiny restaurants that were live and bustling. But the moment you walked 20 paces in any direction you were back in the ghost town. Really cool though, the people were super nice. Why is it like that there? China had weird banking regulations which led to an enormous building boom. People speculated in real estate companies which spent billions of dollars to build whole cities for millions of inhabitants, without having any tenants. The bubble eventually burst. The huge real estate companies destabilized global economy, and had to be bailed out by the Chinese state, but there's still dozens of mostly empty cities in China. Port-au-Prince. Saw a newly shot woman on the sidewalk and the next day, a human finger in a trash heap. Had a college classmate from Haiti. He said he saw someone get decapitated with a machete on the way to school once. Thanks for the heads up. I have family in Haiti and I remember going to a wedding with armed guards outside. Being from the States, they let me hold an AK-47. They probably shouldn't have. I was pissed drunk. Luckily nothing bad happened. Holy crap, I came here to say the exact same thing. I went there for earthquake relief in 2010, and we were escorted everywhere by armed guards and weren't allowed to walk anywhere. We could only travel by car. We were there 10 weeks after the earthquake, and at night they would put the bodies in a huge pile and burn them. We all came home with horrible upper respiratory infections because of it. They were also everywhere in the streets. Some of the medical stuff we dealt with, I can't even mention here. And the saddest thing is that it's gotten 10x worse in the years since then. I get emotional just thinking about it. Juarez, Mexico. I'm an Irish Mexican. Redhead. Went with cousins to see my aunt and uncle. At the time, '07, it was the most murderous city on earth. My family members were in a cartel. There was a cartel war going on. Had armed men all around at all times. For all the money and cars and opulence at their home, it was like being in prison. The tension in the air was thick. I was treated like a king, but that whole week, I was terrified inside. Different world. Was told, no matter what happens, do not call police. They worked for the other guys. I was told that if shit kicked off, and anyone made it through the gates, to grab a gun and shoot myself. That would be the best possible outcome. I haven't been back. The doorman in my hotel in Johannesburg stopped me as I was walking out and told me, "You won't last 5 minutes out there. Go back to your room where it's safe." My mate got picked up by the police in Johannesburg after going out for a walk to see the area at dusk, given a ride back to the hotel and told not to do that again. It's too dangerous for tourists. Similar thing happened to a friend of mine when he went. He and his wife were going to a restaurant a few buildings down, so were going to walk. The concierge stopped them and made them get a taxi. The ride lasted about 30 seconds. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Didn't matter day or night, people looked at you with hatred. Was in St. Louis with my cousin and we crossed that bridge. East St. Louis has gotta be the most dangerous feeling place I've ever been. Street lights busted out at night, everything run down, abandoned, bullet holes in the stop signs, etc. We pulled up GPS and got the fuck out of there real quick, lol. Was working in Granite City, stayed by the arch. Got lost across the bridge. Dudes on the corner gave me directions out and ended with, "Fuck the stop signs, white boy, get the fuck out." All I need to hear. Yep, they tell you not to stop at stoplights in East STL for good reason. I drove around there when I played Pokemon Go around the country one summer. The neighborhoods terrified me even though the city I was from wasn't exactly safe either. Streets with every other home boarded up though and people looking like they'd kill you in front of the others. My Pokemon stayed in those gyms for months though. Kingston, Jamaica. I switched hotels to one more secure. Early on my last morning, I was going to the airport, and my original hotel was on fire. I have a permanent scar on my forehead from Kingston, a little reminder of my last visit to Jamaica. People scampering to get on a bus, climbing on each other's backs. An old-fashioned Coke bottle was thrown at the bus and exploded into the crowd. One shard hit me right above the eye. There are no ambulances or police to come rescue you. Had to walk for a few miles in the heat to the nearest doctor covered in blood. Got stitches. Boarded the plane with a bloody patch on my head. Fought the urge to kneel down and kiss the carpet at the Philadelphia airport. Last sentence really says it all. Imagine being that happy to be in Philly. Mogadishu 92-93. OMG. I watched a crazy Korean drama about how the Korea and Korea embassies had to band together to escape. The movie was called Escape from Mogadishu. That was wild to watch. It was a true story. Johannesburg. When you stop at a red light, you have to be ready to punch the gas as there are broad daylight carjackings at intersections. We were told not to even stop at red lights, and if you see someone laying in the street, just run over them because if you stop you'll be jumped. My mum had a great sense of where to take a 9-year-old. Baghdad or Baltimore at night. Shot at in both places. At least in Baghdad I was also armed. Depends where in Baltimore. I'm nice and comfy in my row home in Baltimore City right now and love my neighborhood. Feel totally safe walking at night. But I know a few blocks up the street there is some shit going down I'd rather not know about. There's a select few areas to stay in, definitely. Overall underrated city though. Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Every property surrounded by solid fences topped with razor wire, and if you can afford it, patrolled by armed guards and guard dogs. As a visitor, you should never use a local taxi, or walk outside your hotel compound at night. I went there as a 15 white boy with blonde hair and blue eyes for their national swimming comp, and we were hosted by families. The lady hosting us said to me right after we got there, "If you want to go for a walk, don't take any money or wear a watch because you will get robbed." The word will was so crazy to me, not if or could, it was will. Others that stand out. 1. They had a 14-year-old security guard who was a member of the most feared gang in PNG, so younger than me. They informed us that this is because if anyone touched their home, they would enforce it. 2. They had a beautiful home, but it was surrounded by barbed wire and 2 huge German shepherds and 2 maids. 3. They had satellite with every movie in the theaters and hundreds of channels. They informed me that copywriting was not enforceable in PNG. True not, I didn't care, it was awesome. 4. One of the best swimmers at the comp was attacked and stabbed with a piece of corrugated iron and his friend abducted on the first night of the meet. 5. Anytime there was a red light at a stoplight, they just blew through it because they would get carjacked. 6. People would stare at you and smile and have these crazy eyes and bright red stains on their teeth from eating betel nut. 7. It was so hot and humid during the day, they didn't let us compete from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. There is a lot more. With this, the place, the people, the culture is insanely beautiful. Johannesburg. It's the only place I've been where the pilot tells you before landing where to go and not to go. What to do and not to do if you don't want to get robbed, mugged, or killed. Isla Trinitaria in southern Guayaquil, Ecuador. Absolutely bonkers. Can confirm, was there about 10 years ago. Armed police at every corner. Went out to purchase supplies late at night and ended up back at my hotel 6 hours later having been taken around the city by a sketchy but lovely group of dudes. Oh, and once got invited to an after party above a club and at 6 a.m. went to leave. The guy went and checked first. Turns out we were invited because people were waiting outside to kidnap us. Fun times. Juarez around 2007. They told me that the cartel had some heads hanging from a bridge for everyone to see and they didn't get taken down until several hours later. Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. At the height of the Iraq War, it was still listed as more dangerous. The gangs ran the city, driving around in technicals with mounted machine guns. Hotels had 6-foot-thick concrete-walled fences with razor wire and armed guards. For an added cost, they offered rape cages, a cage that would drop down over your bed when a sensor was triggered to protect you from being raped if people broke in. Why on earth would you go to a place where rape cages are seen as necessary? Garberville in Humboldt County, CA in the 90s. This was way before pot was legal, and as an outsider you were absolutely looked at like you were a fed. Scariest damn town I've ever stopped in. They made a doc about the area. IRC, it's called Murder Mountain. Tijuana. I lived there for 2 years as a runaway teen. This was over 30 years ago, but I'm fairly certain it hasn't gotten better. Cairo in Egypt. As a white non-Muslim female, the amount of sexual harassment I experienced was unprecedented. It's interesting because I didn't necessarily worry about someone attacking me or stealing from me, but I worried about other things happening. The entire country is impoverished and corrupt. At one point, I saw a police officer hold a child, like 7 years old maybe, at gunpoint because the child was acting out and he thought it was funny. At another point, a person got hit by a car and a couple bystanders were doing everything they could while most kept on walking as if nothing was even happening. I was at a restaurant near there and it took over 30 minutes for an ambulance to get there. I'm unsure if he made it. I can't even tell you how many homeless children I saw begging for food money with no parents anywhere to be found. I've been to other countries where this is a common scam tactic, but this was totally different. The reality is that when a country is that corrupt, public safety goes out the window. That is actually what scared me most about it. Cairo, Western tourist women stand out, and everyone wants to scam you or rape you, or scam and rape you. Tijuana. I saw a dead body on my way to the bus terminal, just laying on the sidewalk. There were people standing around him, smoking, drinking, and just having a good old time while dude is just dead, like dead as fuck, stiff, purple and blue. Wildest shit I've ever seen. No one gave a single shit. No South Africa at all. Not much Latin America? You boys haven't been out much. Barranquilla in Colombia and Joburg in SA are my worst too. What was the scariest city you've ever been to? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.